Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. I am your host John, and today here on the channel we have a special video for you guys. If you are a channel bankroll member, every once in a while I'll let you guys pick a video, whether it be like a top 10 list or a certain topic you want me to discuss. Well, our channel bankroll member, Mr. Smelly Potato, one of the longest supporters of this channel, longest supporters of me. I really do appreciate that, Mr. Smelly Potato. Well, his request for this month was the top 10 Will Ferrell films, which, you know what? I was more than happy to oblige with that. Will Ferrell, I've said it a million times, he's my second favorite as far as comedic actors go. I wouldn't say it's my second favorite comedian of all time because, you know, you get sketch comedians, you get stand-up comedians, and then you, of course, get actors like Will Ferrell. He also overlaps with sketch comedy. He is one of the greatest to ever appear on Saturday Night Live, and without his work on Saturday Night Live, we wouldn't even end up with this great filmography and one of the great comedians that we've ever had. And there was a time in the 2000s you could argue that Will Ferrell was the top comedian at the top of his game, coming off the 1990s when like Jim Carrey was number one, or the 1980s where Eddie Murphy was number one. In the 2000s, Will Ferrell was number one. Some of his best films came out right after he was done with Saturday Night Live. He was acting in some great films before that as well. He'd pop up in movies like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. He has a very memorable cameo in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery. No, not dead. Very badly burned. So there is so much to go through for Will Ferrell's entire career, and he also just seems like one of those genuinely nice guys. Like, one thing about comedians you could always say is that they are a little bit dark sometimes. A lot of them suffer from depression. I can understandably relate to that. Like, when you have depression, anxiety, sometimes you just like put on the happy face and you want to make other people laugh. So I can understand that. You can see that when Jim Carrey speaks, and even like when Eddie Murphy has talked in the past. But Will Ferrell just seems like he always wants to light up a room. He just seems like a naturally funny guy and just a genuinely good guy, and I can always appreciate that when it comes to the world of comedy and just in the world of actors. I always am rooting for the people who just seem really nice. Like Kevin Hart's another one of them. If you just seem like a good person, I'll always be pulling for you. Like, Will Ferrell still got movies coming out to this very day. He had a few very funny scenes in Barbie. I'll admit I don't think he was necessarily important to Barbie, but his moments in that movie really did make me laugh, showed me that, hey, he could still be on top of the comedy game if he wants to. You know, not necessarily. Right now he really does a lot of supporting roles, and I'll be honest, some of the movies he's starred in over like the last like 10 years haven't been as good as the stuff he was doing in the 2000s. Like Daddy's Home isn't something you guys are going to see on this list, or Get Hard, but you are going to see some good ones on this list. And you know what, without wasting any more of your time, let's just get into it and start it off with number 10.
You have a small child, use it as a shield. They love the tender meat.
And at number 10, I got 2008's Semi-Pro. And I remember a lot of people being very disappointed when this movie came out. I thought it was hilarious. Get the funk out of my face. Get the funk out of my face. This is a movie that takes place in the 1970s. I think it was the ABA, like the All-American Basketball Association. They were about to be merging with the NBA. This is how the Spurs eventually joined the NBA. And one of the teams was the Tropics. And Will Ferrell being the owner/player for the team, he's also out there promoting the team. Like during halftime, he's doing the competitions. Like when the guys can win that big giant check for the, you know, the half-court shot, I think it was. And the guy's like, I'm so fucking high right now. And Will Ferrell's like, all right, laying low and doing it right. Like just really funny one-liners. Tim Meadows great in this movie. Woody Harrelson's great in this movie. I mean, the plot, it's razor thin. Like, you know, they just have to win a certain amount of games and then they get to join the league. It doesn't have necessarily some of the highs of other Will Ferrell comedies, but there are some big laugh out loud moments. Will Ferrell always leans right into doing what he does. He puts a ridiculous wig on. And again, there's some fantastic scenes in this movie. Like that one Russian roulette scene is out of this world funny. So I can still put it on this list, even though I can admit that this is a pretty flawed Will Ferrell comedy. It's nothing like Land of the Lost, in my opinion, though.
Which one of you convicts with the longest record can pass me the mashed potatoes?
And at number 9, I got Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues. I know not everybody loves Anchorman 2, but I've rewatched this movie quite a few times, and I always laugh at it. And I've heard people say, well, it's just too stupid. I can understand that, but the first Anchorman's pretty stupid as well, which is much higher on this list. You know, it does everything that you would expect from a comedy sequel to. They doubled down on a lot of jokes that worked in the first one. If you remember the news anchor fight scene in the middle of that one, well, we have one in this one, but it's all major broadcast networks with people that you recognize, including Kanye West and Will Smith, working for major networks like ESPN and MTV, all of that. You even get a ghost involved in that one, but, you know, one of Will Ferrell's good buddies, John C. Reilly, popping up in there. And, you know, it just becomes a little bit more over the top. Instead of it taking place in San Diego, it's the world news now. So we're really, you know, trying to make it bigger and better. We got to reassemble the gang. But what I like about this movie is just the jokes. The one-liners throughout are just absolutely hysterical. Me and my brother-in-law, we work together at our regular Joe job, and, you know, we'll be quoting this movie all the time, just like when, like, they call, you know what they call Bat? Chicken of the cave. And then later in the movie, he's like, you know what they call Cat? Chicken of the railroad. And Ron just like, don't listen to him. Just stop listening to him. Just so many great one-liners. And I'll always do the thing towards the end of the movie because I don't have great eyes. And I'm gonna say it one more time so everybody can hear. I'm blind. And, you know, I get all the arguments that, you know, this is just a run back of the first one, just turning it up to 10. I agree, but I absolutely really enjoyed it. I will rewatch Anchorman 2 over and over again. Is it as good as the first one? No, but it's still a fantastic comedy.
Is it a crossbow? Ah! Ho! Black Hawk down!
And at number 8, the same guy who actually directed Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery, Jay Roach, directed The Campaign. I remember seeing this movie in theaters with my wife, and me and my wife still quote this movie to this very day. We love Will Ferrell, and then, of course, this is when Zach Galifianakis was having his big movie star moment. You know, he kind of took off with The Hangover, Hangover 2, and, you know, even The Hangover 3, and then, of course, Between Two Ferns. You love to see it, and he is going blow for blow back and forth with Will Ferrell in this movie. Just two men running for the seat in the House of Congress, you know, for their district, a small town, I think, in North Carolina. Zach Galifianakis is the son of a guy who's, you know, basically, he's got some money. He's got some money, and he's the handpicked guy to, you know, replace Will Ferrell's character, who's basically won this in a landslide. He never has competition in this district year after year. But now he's finally got some competition, and it's going to expose all the flaws in this bumbling idiot of a politician, which I wish people knew what politics were like today, because this came out before politics here in the United States turned into the big joke that it is right now. You know, this was supposed to be an over-exaggeration of what politics are like. Unfortunately, art does imitate reality in some ways, and it does in this case, but there are some huge laughs in this movie. Rip Torn is even funny in this movie. Dan Aykroyd pops up, you know, kind of playing with the Trading Places joke back in the day that he was the one being manipulated by the people. Really did appreciate that. I'm going to Washington, so I'm going to be bringing my broom because it's a mess. I absolutely love The Campaign. If you guys haven't seen this one, absolutely check it out.
What an idiot! Oh, what a loser! Good. Good. More for me and you.
And at number 7, yes, this is a glorified cameo, but Will Ferrell always does these glorified cameos, whether, like I was talking about, in Austin Powers, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, or The Goods, Live Hard, Sell Hard, where he plays a guy dressed up like Abraham Lincoln. One of the funniest death scenes in film history. But if you want to talk about some of his great cameos, I think we could all agree the best one that he ever had was in Wedding Crashers. He's basically the guy who set up the Wedding Crasher rules, and as time has gone on, you know, he stopped crashing weddings and he started crashing funerals, and as Owen Wilson says, he's really cleaning up. He's still living with his mom. He gets that big scene where they come over, and he's like, you want some meatloaf? And he's like, yeah, you know what, I will have it. Ma, we want the meatloaf! We want it now! So, like, even though he's only in 2 scenes, really just 1, but the second one you just kind of see him at the funeral like, it's just ridiculous. But even though he's in those 2 scenes, and he almost steals the movie in those scenes, again, this is Will Ferrell like on top of the world. It's 2005. Wedding Crashers needs to come to 4K Blu-ray as well.
Damn, Santa's coming to town.
Santa! Oh my God! Santa here?
And I know some people might think that Elf at number 6 is a little bit too low, but I'm not the world's biggest Elf fan. I watch it almost every single year. I think it's like an every other year type of Christmas movie for me. I remember seeing that in theaters. My family has this tradition. Well, my parents are divorced, so I see my mom on Thanksgiving, but the day before Thanksgiving, it was a tradition that me and my brother, we would go out with my stepmom, my dad, my brother, and sister, and we would see a movie every day before Thanksgiving, and then we'd have dinner because I wasn't with my dad on Thanksgiving. And that movie, that particular year, I think it was 2003, was Elf, and Elf is great. Will Ferrell just playing this human who ends up being raised by elves by accident. You know, the comedy writes itself. This movie's got plenty of great one-liners. He's playing off of James Caan phenomenally, who apparently was getting very annoyed with Will Ferrell while making the movie, which does make a lot of sense. But apparently he also came around and, you know, realized the genius of Will Ferrell and what it's like to be a comedian. One thing, when a serious actor like James Caan signs up for these comedies, I'm sure he probably thinks it's like less than him or beneath him. But then, of course, James Caan being the guy that he is, he eventually realized that yeah, this works. I feel like it's a lot like how Tommy Lee Jones reacted to Jim Carrey in Batman Forever, and he hugged him and he says, "I will not tolerate your buffoonery." Like, he's just so above, like, this classless joke and comedy. Like, and I feel like James Caan kind of had that as well, but he eventually came around. Whereas Tommy Lee Jones, I love Tommy Lee Jones, but he could definitely be a little bit of a begrudging, I think is the right word for that, where he's just he's a little bit of an angry guy. You would say he's a little bit of an angry elf, but either way, or Elf is a classic. You know it's a classic. It had to make the list.
Step Brothers.
We did it! Woohoo!
This is how it's doing.
And at number 5, I got 2008's Step Brothers. This was one that I was highly anticipating. That's the same summer that The Dark Knight came out. The movie I was waiting for, other than The Dark Knight that summer, was Step Brothers. This was him and John C. Reilly teaming up again after Talladega Nights. People could not wait for this duo to get back together. They got back together again a few years later, but it's just not the same. This was only 2 years, I believe, after Talladega Nights, so they still had that magic. I mean, and the plot of this movie is absolutely insane. So as long as you're leaning into the ridiculousness of this plot, this movie's gonna work. I mean, two 40-year-old guys still living with their parents, and their parents end up getting married to each other, and because they don't have nowhere else to go, and they're adults, and one just got laid off from Petco, and the other one wants to get into the family business, which is being a medical doctor. So basically, these two just don't want to work. So when these two get married, they become stepbrothers, who are full-grown men who start off with a rivalry of hating each other, but then, of course, they learn to love each other. Did we just become best friends? Yep. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep. No power tools, guys! Like, there's just so many one-liners throughout this movie. Dale got Hulk hands? Like, of course it's their fault. You have the two biggest idiots living in your house. I'm gonna throw it up! Like, the thing that holds this movie back from being a 10 out of 10 comedy is the Catalina wine mixer stuff. I just really think that it kind of ends the movie on a down note. I don't really enjoy them up there. I get what they're going for and why that would be funny, but the musical aspect of it just doesn't work for me. I really feel like it kind of drags it down a little bit. Everything before that works, and then even everything after that. But it drags the movie down as a whole. But as overall as a comedy, it's fucking great. So we're going to move on to number 4.
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure! We've come too far! There's too much to lose! We've got to keep our composure!
And at number 4, the same year as Elf, earlier in the year, Old School came out. And this is more of an ensemble comedy cast with a bunch of big-name comedians of the time. Vince Vaughn, this is one of his breakout movies as a comedian. You know, before this, believe it or not, Vince Vaughn tried to do some serious work. He's even in the Gus Van Sant Psycho remake, which is absolutely stupid. It's a shot-for-shot remake in color. Don't watch it. He's in The Lost World, but once Vince Vaughn leaned into being a comedian, people loved him. And of course, you get Frank the Tank in this movie, Will Ferrell, who clearly had a very big drinking problem in the past at the beginning of the movie. He's getting married. He'd be divorced by the end of the film. Really in a quick 180 because he just can't help himself. Once he starts drinking Frank the Tank, that's it. He's come a long way. But you get him drinking, he's going to come right back out, and he sure does. He starts going streaking. He has to move back in with Luke Wilson's character, which is a real shame. He's like, yeah, I'm staying here now. So it just wasn't really working out. Just, he couldn't stay out of his own way. But Will Ferrell has some of the best one-liners in this movie. Just like when he's calling up his wife, who he's married to, he's like, "It's Frank, Ricard, I was just wondering if you'd like to maybe get a frozen yogurt or perhaps a full meal sometime." Like, this is his wife. Just took the restrictor plate out of the Red Dragon. Not exactly street legal, so you might want to keep that on the down low. Blue, drop and give me 10! You're my boy, Blue! Like, the movie's just an absolute classic. Old School. This is the one that really made Will Ferrell famous, and this is actually the one that really drew me to Will Ferrell. Like, I knew of him on Saturday Night Live, but, like, I think I've said it here before. I didn't really start watching, like, Saturday Night Live skits until the DVDs came out, and, I would just watch them, all edited together before I finally got into the show. So this is, like, really when Will Ferrell was, became like one of the big stars for me, like moved up to the top of my list as far as comedians. It all started really for me with Old School. It's really why I was really excited to see Elf later in the year.
Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
You gotta learn to drive with the fear.
And then at number 3, we talked about this a little bit earlier, Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, directed by Adam McKay, and obviously Adam McKay and Will Ferrell had a great working relationship together all the way up until Winning Time, which actually starred John C. Reilly. Apparently that caused a rift between the two of them because Will Ferrell wanted a job on that show and not John C. Reilly. I don't know if John C. Reilly and him had any issues, but I know it caused a rift between the two of them. But Adam McKay just directs the hell out of this movie. This is where we get to see John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell really have that just fantastic chemistry together. They play off each other so well. Shake and bake, baby! And now I'm a huge NASCAR fan. I think I'm wearing a NASCAR. Yeah, I am. I'm wearing a NASCAR hat right now, so you guys knew I was excited to see this one. John C. Reilly, also fun fact for movies, is in Days of Thunder as well. So two of the biggest NASCAR movies, John C. Reilly's in them both, many years apart. The NASCAR stuff, it's a little over-exaggerated, but hey, NASCAR played along with everything, and I really did appreciate that. I was watching at the time, so love seeing guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jamie McMurray pop up in this movie, even though they're clearly making fun of the entire NASCAR culture in the best way possible. Hey, man, do you know that your house is haunted? Why am I even talking to you? I hate you, man. Ricky, if you ain't first, you're last. Ricky, I was high when I said that. You could be first, second, third. Hell, you could even be fourth. Like, I lived my whole life by that, Dad. That's pretty stupid, son. Gary Cole's great in this movie as well. I can go on and on. Talladega Nights is just absolutely fantastic.
Pick another bird. Peacocks, they don't fly, Terry. They don't, do they?
Just let him have it, Captain.
The other guys.
And that at number 2, and I just realized all three of the top 3 Will Ferrell movies that I picked were directed by Adam McKay. Didn't plan that, but it just goes to show you how good of a working relationship the two of them had, because their best films, I mean, people might say Adam McKay's best films were when he shifted more into, like, in the dramedies like Don't Look Up, but I would argue some of his best films, in my opinion, his best films are the comedies that he did with Will Ferrell. Well, one of them was 2010's The Other Guys. You guys have probably seen me wear the Thanks for the F-Shack shirt because that came right out of this movie. This is actually probably my top 2 are my most quoted Will Ferrell movies, but this might be number 1, and it just showed how good a chemistry him and Mark Wahlberg had. He just plays an accountant for the police department, the safest job he could ever imagine, and the amount of quotable lines out of this movie are just absolutely ridiculous. Hey Terry, how many times did the captain tell us to lay off at Urshan? Twice. Terry says twice, and I agree. And also Michael Keaton. I know we're talking about Will Ferrell, but Michael Keaton gives a great comedic performance in this movie as well. People might have forgot that, Michael Keaton does comedy before he broke big as Batman. There's a reason why people are upset about him being cast as Batman. It's because he was this short comedian, and he could be really, really funny. All the TLC stuff with him. Hey guys, make sure you creep. And remember, boys, I don't want no scrubs. Are you intentionally quoting TLC? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't get the reference. He gets the wooden gun. I'm going to give you a wooden gun here. It's really just for show. But then he gives him the rape whistle. Yeah, just blow that whistle and somebody with a real gun will come and help you when you need it. Just so many great one-liners in this movie. I was very much looking forward to the water. It's pure comedy gold in my opinion. And not enough people talk about The Other Guys.
Hey, I like that fanny.
Oh, Mr. Burgundy.
Anchorman, the legend of Ron Burgundy.
And then, of course, that brings us to number 1. Probably no surprise. It's probably a little bit of a letdown even knowing that it's number 1, but I can't deny it. Anchorman, the legend of Ron Burgundy, directed by Adam McKay. And it's funny, when I first saw this movie in theaters, I didn't absolutely love it. In fact, I walked out of that theater pretty disappointed, but this is one that just wears you down. The more you see it, the better it gets. You just start quoting it over and over and over again. What is diversity? I could be wrong here, but I believe that diversity is an old wooden ship from the Civil War era. Ron, I don't think that the network is going to care about an old wooden ship from the Civil War era, but good try, though. Just so many great one-liners like that. Go fuck yourself, San Diego. No idea what he said. Ron, do you realize what you just said? Ron, I have to fire you. And I have to fire you. Bing, bang, boom. And then, of course, we talked about the scene in the alley where they're all fighting all the different news teams. That's where we also see Vince Vaughn pop up in this movie as Wes Mantooth talking about Dorothy Mantooth. Dorothy Mantooth is a saint! And then, of course, they doubled down on that. Raised 2 kids on her own in the second movie. So, love seeing that pop up in here. You guys just stand there. The guy who can't think says something. Just, again, so many great one-liners in the movie. And Anchorman has been elevated to one of those great comedy films. Out of all the movies we talked about here today, only Anchorman actually has a 4K Blu-ray. So we talked about 10 different films. And that's actually pretty strange to me because Will Ferrell's been in so many great comedies. Hopefully some of these studios like Kino Lorber, who's been concentrating on comedy, they're giving us Wayne's World 2 and Kingpin at the end of this month. So hopefully we can get some of these more So hopefully we can get some more of these Will Ferrell movies on 4K Blu-ray. I really think the other guys, Talladega Nights, would be great. Wedding Crashers is celebrating its 20th anniversary, so who the hell knows? And as always, guys, I want to hear from you. What is your favorite Will Ferrell film of all time? Leave those answers in the comment section below. And while you guys are down there, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. We also have channel memberships, so if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel, a channel director, or even a channel bankroll member like Mr. Smelly Potato, you guys can look for all that information in the description below. But as always, no pressure at all. We just hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, get out in the streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.